Okay, there is a lot of misinformation to unpack with this one. However, it all comes down to bodily autonomy. Who owns the right to do anything with your body? Liberals say that you do, but only if you are trying to kill a child. Conservatives would argue that you do under all circumstances. If this girl or her parents decided not to take a certain medication, one that the parents have no legal recourse for side effects, she can stay home for a few days and she will be fine. And this does not harm the life, liberty, or property of her peers. If President Trump wanted to be a dictator, he is doing an absolutely horrible job at it. This last comedian that he silenced is already back on the air. As such, he does not control the media. Even so, he is fighting to dismantle a state-run media network. You might know it as National Public Radio. President Trump is also taking steps to remove regulations. And when it comes to political opposition, conservatives are not the ones calling for the deaths of liberals en masse. We are also not the ones resorting to violence. It is the liberals who use guns and Molotov cocktails to make their point. One thing that Mr. Bennett does not realize is that Tylenol actually advised women not to take their medication while pregnant. It is not Donald Trump or Robert F. Kennedy Jr. making the recommendation, but the people who actually make the drug. Furthermore, this drug is not being banned. If you want to take Tylenol, even while pregnant, I doubt either of these two men will stop you. In fact, a lot of pregnant women have been taking Tylenol as a protest. They would cut off their noses to spite their faces. This is just so wildly inaccurate that I hardly know where to begin. It is the liberals and Democrats who have been threatening people. It is the liberals and Democrats who have been burning down cities. It is the liberals and Democrats who have been killing people. It is the liberals and Democrats who have been celebrating death. Mr. Roll is showing projection. Nothing more, nothing less. Here we have the Democrats playing their little word games again. Nothing about contraception is controlling your own body. If she was controlling her own body, she would not need the contraception. But what about rape? Then kill the rapist, not the baby. What did the child do to earn the death penalty? The problem with liberals is that they do not understand that all lives matter. I know that Mr. Anderson is saying this because he believes that Republicans are spreading disinformation. But another important part of authoritarianism is shutting down dissenting views. Without both, authoritarianism cannot work. Specifically, Republicans have not been shutting down voices on all social media platforms. The Biden administration, however, ordered Google to shut down dissenting views. This is a good analogy, but it only shows half of the problem. Well, I think Mr. Roll is improving, all things considered. The first three panels are technically correct. The military-industrial complex gets rich off of killing civilians. Meanwhile, people realize that they can go out of their way to get people fired for posts that they made a decade prior. Liberals are just upset that conservatives are using the same tactic, only we are not sharing some imaginary ism. We are sharing how they celebrate an assassination. I would not trust a doctor or nurse who posted such a video, as they would probably just make a mistake, and my family would never know. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is the classic lab coat bias. These people are wearing lab coats, and thus are scientists, and are thus automatically right. Mr. Ramirez is trying to manipulate us with psychology. Next, it was not RFK who made the claim first. It was Harvard and multiple other private institutions. All RFK did was reiterate their findings. Next, and this part is important, the scientist on the right says, we should have made these caps idiot-proof. This means that these two are scientists at the lab making Tylenol. I doubt that they are happy about people potentially taking their drug less. That is a conflict of interest. I see liberals like Mr. Roll are still under the delusion that Antifa is fake. Now let us assume that Antifa is fake for a moment. That would mean that the executive order would do nothing and no one should be concerned. However, even Wikipedia, which touts every talking point of the Democratic Party and the deep state, admits that this organization is real, and it is aligned with the Democratic Party. Mr. Roll is the same sort of person who would call the Black Crimes Matter riots. Fiery, but mostly peaceful. Either way, Republicans are the party of law and order. Okay. No one is going to deny that President Trump has a bit of an ego problem. But since when does he have a list of people to just go after? A fascist would have gone after them the second they posted something derogatory. A leader of a republic only goes after them when there are crimes to prosecute. For example, Comey was not dragged into court for posting 8647. He was dragged into court for lying before Congress. Only one of the two is arguably a crime. Technically, one was a threat, but there is a good argument for free speech in it. Therefore, Mr. Rogers is completely off base. Let us compare what Washington, D.C. was like before the National Guard was deployed and after the National Guard was deployed. The difference was staggering. The city had its longest streak without a murder, 11 days. The liberal leadership does not want the National Guard, but the people who deal with the gangs, murders, and carjackings do. Democratic leadership lives in bubbles, where they are protected and thus think that everyone else is protected as well.